actually far more interesting. Alright, it's called Wake Up Sleeping Beauty. I'm tired of love stories. That is to say, I'm sick of unrequited love. Romeo, that emo motherfucker, can rot in hell for all I care. I mean, what kind of asshole kills himself over a girl he just met? Whatever. Fuck them. I'm sick of love stories. That is to say, I'm sick of Disney's happy endings. Cinderella can get raped and stabbed and left to die in a ditch somewhere. Seriously, just because some dude shows up at your house with your shoe doesn't mean he's your true love. What if you're some sick pedophile stalker? Dumb bitch. I'm tired of knights in shining armor. That is to say, I'm sick of damsels in distress. For once, I'd like to see Rapunzel shave her head off, climb down, and free herself and live off the land. Without the help of some man, eating the little forest creatures for dinner and exclaiming, they taste just like chicken. Amen. I'm sick of this made-to-order deceit that says that, that is to say, I'm tired of these made-for-TV romances where a couple meets, falls in love, has a fight, breaks up, and makes up just in time for all their problems to be solved when the credits roll. Fuck that. I'm tired of unrealistic expectations. That is to say, I'm sick of a silver screen with a silver tongue filling our hearts with false hope. But I'll pay the extra $7.50 at the door next Friday still. Because it's better to have had hope and lost it than to have never seen Beauty and the Beast at all.
Amen.
Continue or critique in the middle? Alright, you want to do the critique?
Yes, might as well. Anyone? Thoughts?
That's why I asked for your short one, because your short ones usually have a lot more of a natural flow to them. Whenever you do the long stories.
I haven't actually done anything long here.
Well, we haven't done anything too long, but
yeah.
I noticed that from like your earlier zombie stories that you used to open up.
Yeah. I stumbled a lot more.
You stumbled a lot, yeah. And then you got to the short one, and it was just natural. It felt believable. It felt wonderful.
I've actually practiced those ones that felt more natural.
I was gonna say those ones are older. He's probably read them like 8 more times, and the one he's done now, then the zombie one.
I don't know if this one was new or old.
That one's really old.
Okay, well that one still felt very.
So,
very
all right. Any other critique on Wake Up Sleeping Beauty?
I agree.
Is this like feminist Disney?
Yes, feminist Disney.
No,
So,
I like that. I like that with the.
I'm gonna quote something I'll read later. I'm gonna quote something that I'm gonna play later. But bitches and hoes don't exist because Josh is a feminist.
Yeah, you bozo, huh? Because you hoes know bo's a feminist.
Yeah, I'm gonna play that later for everyone.
I love that song.
Continue.
The other one is a short story I call, that actually got published in the first Platypus, called A Peer Counseling Session at Jacob Grimm High School. And it's, essentially, the prompt for this was, what if Red Riding Hood and Goldilocks were stuck in detention together? They sat across the table from one another, one girl staring at her notebook, the other's eyes fixed upon her classmate. On the broad side of the table sat a dark-haired woman, the only one in the room smiling. The shy girl's crimson hair hung out from under her hooded sweatshirt as she sketched axes on the front of her notebook. The other girl's golden locks hung in curls around her face. Her beauty was undeniable, as was the disdain in her eyes. So can one of the two of you describe to me what happened today in that stairwell?
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Asked Mrs. White, the guidance counselor at Jacob Grimm High. Despite the gossip floating around the school about her, a smile was always plastered on her face. Most of the children found this unbearably creepy. Nothing, ma'am. We were just having a friendly conversation when that pig came along and insisted very forcefully that we don't have any left, the blonde said, sarcastically, her eyes never letting go of the gaze in the other girl. Mrs. White chuckled. That's not how it happened, Goldie. Come on. Now let's hear your side of things. Goldie rolled her eyes.
I will be posting something soon.
Well, Miss White went like this. My bio class was just letting out, and I was heading down I was heading down to calculus, and she comes flying up the downstairs like a maniac, slamming into my shoulder.
Yes, you did.
I hit her.
You did.
She hits me back, and now we're here.
Beautiful.
Is that true, Miss Riding Hood? Asked Mrs. White. Her turning her head to the other girl.
Weakness.
Not entirely, she answered, finally joining the conversation. Miss Princess here was going up the stairs before I even got to them. To be honest, I was kind of zoned out following the sheep. I'm not having the best day, so
great idea.
My friend gave me something in the morning to take the edge off.
You thinking about your math?
I was following her up the downstairs, apparently, and she turned and started coming at me, shoving me in the shoulder as she walked past, then got offended like I did something wrong and hit me. So I punched her back. We wrestled for a minute, and the rent-a-cop came and broke us up.
You have a Dremel.
Miss White said, turn to Goldie,
A Dremel?
who was looking down at the floor. Goldie,
It's a jeweler's.
why were you going back up the stairs? I don't want to talk about
I
it.
told you can. I will post soon when you are okay.
So you actually did go back up the downstairs the second time? It was actually my third time, Goldie admitted. The first time was too fast, and the second time was too slow. This time had been just right. Shut up! I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Go ahead, laugh about it. No one's laughing, Miss White reassured her. Although Red was a little until Miss White turned to her.
Okay?
Can you tell me why you needed to be zoned out today? None of your business, that's why. Red snapped. I've read your file. I know what day it is. Then why'd you have to bring it up? Red now sounded agitated. For Goldie to hear, so you can better understand each other. Bullshit! What kind of understanding is this preppy bitch with a silver spoon up her ass gonna get? I've spat puddles deeper than her. The two girls rose up over the table. Miss White was able to get in between them. Now, both of you need to calm down and talk this out like civil adults. Keep in mind, this is your only alternative to expulsion.
So if you go up there, you sit next to her.
Once everyone regained their composure, Red spoke again, this time directly to Gold Beautiful. 6 years ago today, my grandmother was murdered. She began to see red with new eyes. Goldie began to see red with new eyes. Remember that wolf? The guy who went around vandalizing houses? Yeah, he was hiding out in the woods. I went to go visit my grandmother who lived out that way, and I saw him. He'd shaved, so I didn't recognize him from the news. I told him I was going to my grandma's place. I know, dumb idea. He suggested I go a different route, that it'd be shorter, but by the time I got there, Grandma was gone. He was in her bed, dressed like her, waiting for me. His eyes were so big. If it wasn't for Larry, the woodsman that was working nearby, I'd be dead too. I heard about that. Wow, that was you? I'm sorry. Goldie shook her head in amazement and then added, wait, didn't that woodsman chop off the dude's head? No, he shot him. Larry carries a gun with him everywhere he goes in the forest because he knows how dangerous things can happen there. No doubt. That place is freaky. I got lost there once when I was 6. I ended up in the cabin. I thought it was abandoned. Imagine my surprise when the whole family came home. I was sleeping in the kids' bed. And I'd eaten their food too. I think I even broke something. Well, how'd that play out? I did some time in juvie for property damage and theft. Wow, that's so messed up. At least you learned your lesson, right? Oddly enough, no. When I turned 11, I started breaking into people's houses. I mean, didn't take anything. I just slept in their beds and watched TV. Never got caught again. Goldie sounded mildly disappointed. You know, Red interjected, we're a couple of freaks, aren't we? Yeah. Where'd Miss White go? Goldie said, finally realizing that Mrs. White had made her escape somewhere in the midst of the discussion. I don't know. Hey, did you hear that rumor that 7 midgets live with her? Oh, that's just a rumor. On that note, the bell rang and the two girls left giggling.
That's very cute.
Good stuff, Josh.
I like that.
That's
Critique session.
Alright.
It was funny. It was cute.
Josh has a lot of preoccupation with Disney fairy tales.
Actually,
He's a pretty little princess,
I'm a
goddammit.
pretty little princess, goddammit! Anyway, no.
No, but that is a thing, though. I mean, if you think
All right.
about it, Goldilocks was breaking and entering.
Right.
You know, and
Theft, destruction of property.
Exactly. It's theft and destruction of property. Exactly.
Red Riding Hood just didn't know any freaking better.
Yeah. Alright,
Of course, if you go by the Grimm's version, though, it's totally not like
Oh,
that.
I have the original version at home.
Grimm's version.
It took me a week on Amazon, like every day,
which version
looking
are you talking
for
about?
it.
Red Riding Hood or Goldilocks?
No,
I don't know,
the
but
original.
Any of them.
The Grimm's version of Red Riding Hood is very weird.
Jacob Grimm's version?
So Josh, on a meta level, I have to ask, why the preoccupation with the...
Alright, let me explain what started the fairy tales. I was actually, the time I wrote these, I was actually taking a fairy tales class. And I was at this, actually no, this wasn't even then, this was a little before that, but I always kind of liked the mythology of it and taking a satirical look at it. But the time I perfected a couple of these, I was taking a fairy tale class, and I was also doing a lot of research on the Disney princesses for Doc a couple semesters ago. This is around the same, comes from the same place as the Porn Princesses project comes from.
Oh, that's a great
and that's
project.
pretty much what it is. It's not that I'm completely enamored with fairy tales. I really do like the idea that there's this fantasy world that can be corrupted, and it's supposed to be this innocent thing, and you can just totally do if you look at it through a different lens. I like writing that does this thing where like the table looks like this if you're looking at it this way, but I like to write from down here or over here and look at it differently. And that's what that's a really fun subject to do that with.
Well, kind of like what Shrek did with the fairy tale.
I was gonna say Josh just likes fucking virginal material.
That too. I have a different version of Beauty and the Beast that I'm working on. That's.
Am I a suggested title for you?
It's about Stockholm syndrome. Because that's what I think Beauty and the Beast is about.
Ah, it could be. Yeah. That's good. That's
See,
good.
I was just gonna suggest the title Poppin' the Cherry, but
No.
it might be a little too obvious.
Oh god.
I'm pretty sure Beauty and the Beast is already kind of a porn-ish title.
Well, bestiality.
Yeah.
See?
I think it's about Stockholm syndrome. Beauty and the Beast is about Stockholm syndrome.
Beauty and the Bestiality?
Okay.
It's about a girl who's told that she has to live with this guy, and then she falls in love with him, and then she comes back to rescue him.
Yes, just one.
You have 3.
As if that's the best thing to do.
And
She
I've
just
already,
fucking left.
I put them in my notes.
Alrighty.
Okay. For anyone that doesn't feel like commenting on my long discussion piece,
That
I
we
will
didn't
be.
already comment on, like in our.
Well, I meant written wise, if you want to. I will be posting it probably on Facebook soon, and
Alright.
comment the fuck away. But I think you need no intro for this one, right?
You know what? I don't know if I want to do this one last or this one last because this is a good conversation starter. I don't know if we want to have.
Okay, we'll come back to it then, I think. Real quick, I want to do something with Richie. I'm sure he didn't expect me to call him out again.